Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 2 o'clock, and I want to go ahead and call the Planning Commission meeting. Today is Thursday, June 12th at 2 p.m. So I'll go ahead and start with the flag salute. So I'll ask Commissioner Gray to lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now I'll go ahead and open up to roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Beal, Commissioner Bryant,
Present.
Commissioner Gray,
Present.
Vice Chair Chanter,
Present.
Chair Agostini,
Present.
and we have a quorum.
Thank you. So next on the agenda is our commissioner comments. I'll go left to right. Commissioner.
If I may,
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Chair Agostini, for the oath of office, that item's going to be continued to the next available meeting where Commissioner Beal is present.
And I also need a motion to excuse Commissioner Beal.
Also move.
Second.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote for that. Commissioner Bryant?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chanter?
Yes.
Chair Agostini?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. Now on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Gray?
I don't have any comments today.
Vice Chair Chanter?
I'd just like to thank you, Chair Agostino, for the past year. You've done a great job.
Thank you. I thank you, and I thank my fellow commissioners for the opportunity to be chair, and I look forward to passing this position along. And I am very thankful for the trust that you've put in me, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Bryant.
And I will second that from Pamela, what you said, so thank you. And actually, thank you to everybody up here, as well as all of the folks that serve on the many boards and commissions of this city. That's one of the things that makes this city great. So thank you for that. And then secondly, we're in, I guess, the second round of using the new system. No more 3-ring binders this thick and 25,000 pages. And we're using it all on the screens. It works very well, and even for techno dunces like me, it's a vast improvement. So thank you, Mina, and your team that did all this stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot easier carrying an iPad. So moving on to approval of the minutes from the April 24th, 2025 regular meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of April 24th, 2025 for the Planning Commission.
Second.
Let's vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, that brings us to action item 4A, appointment of chairperson and vice chairperson.
Thank you, Chair Agostini, and good afternoon, members of the Planning Commission. A chairperson and vice chairperson is elected annually at the first meeting in June. Several years ago, the Planning Commission decided to rotate the chair and vice chair positions in the same manner as the City Council rotates the mayor and mayor pro tem positions by longevity of service. The Planning Commission may choose to continue with this format or may choose alternative members with a motion and a second. Based on the rotation schedule, Vice Chair Chanter would move to the chair position, and Planning Commissioner Bryant is next in line to act as vice chair. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission appoint a chairperson and vice chairperson. That concludes staff's presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions.
So I'll open it up for discussion, comments, or
And I can open up for public comment as well. I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this item? No speakers.
fantastic. So then we need a motion for a chair and vice chair.
I'd move that the current Vice Chair, Pam Chanter, move into the position of Chair of the Planning Commission, and that the always esteemed Commissioner Bryant be made the next Vice Chair.
I'll second that.
Motion carries 4-0.
And then we're going to take a 5-minute recess while we update our system and rotate chairs.
When the music stops, you must sit down. Welcome back, Jason.
Thank you.
That's okay. I'll be speaking, so. Thank you for telling me that. Oh, okay.
Do you need help turning it on again? iPad.
Yeah. All right, moving right along into public hearing. First item, sign program case SIPR 25-001, Cotino Town Center sign program. The applicant, DMB Development LLC, on behalf of ECRM Commercial. Consideration of a sign program to establish sign criteria for the Cotino Town Center, located in Section 31, approximately 650 feet south of the Monterey Avenue and Gerald Ford Drive intersection, on the west side of Monterey, APNs 685-220-048 and 685-540-036. May we please have the staff report?
Thank you, Chair Chanter. Good afternoon, members of the Planning Commission. I have for your consideration sign program case number SIPR 25-0001 for the Cotino Town Center located in Section 31. The Town Center is located within the northeastern quadrant of Section 31. The Cotino Town Center sign program includes signs for the North Restaurant, 2 restaurant buildings, 3 inline retail buildings, the back of house building, the Artisan Village that consists of 9 small retail food and beverage buildings. A total of 19 signs are proposed throughout the Cotino Town Center, which consist of several monuments, vehicular directional signs, pedestrian signs, a tenant directory, building identity signage, banners, miscellaneous wall signs, and freestanding signs for informational purposes. Additional signage is also proposed for retail tenants. 2 monument signs are proposed at the primary entrance at the intersection of Monterey Avenue and Gallery View Way. The monument is 5 feet 6 inches in height and contains 4 feet 6-inch aluminum slats painted Corton brown with a powder-coated finish. The aluminum slats will be mounted to the perimeter wall on both sides of the entrance and will gradually spread out until it reaches a maximum length of 72 feet 8 inches. 1 double-sided monument is proposed along Monterey Avenue between Gallery View Way and Illustration Way. The sign will be placed approximately 10 feet from the back of curb on Monterey Avenue. The monument will display 6 different tenant names along with the Cotino Bay branding at the top. The monument is 8 feet 6 inches in height and 11 feet 2 inches in length. The sign will contain 6-foot-tall powder-coated angle post and an aluminum mounted panel with a water jet cut pattern that is painted Corton brown. One double-sided monument is proposed at the intersection of Illustration Way and Monterey Avenue. The sign will be placed approximately 9 feet from the back of curb on Monterey Avenue and shall provide an 18-inch minimum clearance from both ends of the sidewalk. The monument will display the Cotino Bay branding at the top and will contain 3-foot aluminum slats painted Corton brown with a powder-coated finish. The monument is 4 feet 8 inches in height and 12 feet in length. The aluminum slats will continue to the other side of the sidewalk and will gradually spread out until it reaches a maximum length of 11 feet 8 inches. The last section of the Cotino Town Center sign program pertains to the Cotino Bay tenants. Signage allocation is determined by the tenant zoning, which consists of corner, inline, and artisan village tenants. Primary identity signage includes any fascia or canopy-mounted signs. The overall sign area is limited to 1 square foot per linear foot of frontage. The maximum sign logo and letter heights will vary from 18 inches to 30 inches, which is based on tenant zoning. The maximum sign height is limited to 24 inches to 36 inches for stacked letters. The sign program also provides the option of secondary identity signage, which includes blade signs, wall-mounted plaques, wall-mounted menu boards, window graphics, and A-frame temporary signage. The secondary identity signage is smaller than the primary identity signage and will range from 3 to 9 square feet. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the filing of a notice of exemption pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, Section 15162, subsequent EIRs and negative declarations, and approve sign program case number SIPR 25-0001, subject to the conditions of approval and based on the content and findings in the staff report. Staff has received no public comments for this project. This concludes my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Oops, thank you. Will the city clerk please open for public comment?
Thank you. I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to provide public testimony on this public hearing item? No speakers.
Okay. Would the commissioners please ask any questions or comments at this time? And I will start to my left with Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, our new chairperson. I'll only make the same comment that I make every time this particular item or closely related one comes up. I feel ill qualified to make the aesthetic judgments that people with far more ability and qualifications than I have already made on this particular issue. But I did look through everything and it looks fine to me.
Commissioner Agostini?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Gray. I see the existing signage already. This signage seems to conform to the similar themes that it already exists. So I don't see anything that is out of place or would be out of the norm. And it really blends nicely. What they've done already so far really blends with the community, blends in with the landscaping. And I think it just continues to enhance that look. So I don't see anything either.
Commissioner Bryant?
Yeah, is there a representative here from, sir, would you mind coming up and just got a question or two for you? Thank you.
My name is Jace Cheatham. I'm the Vertical Development Director with DMB at Cotino.
Great, welcome. A little off the actual signs, but would you give us a quick overview of how things are going there, when things are going to open, the restaurant, the public beach, the road that hooks up to Shadow Ridge across the way, that sort of thing? Just give us an idea.
I can give you some of that at
Okay,
least.
yeah.
So being the Vertical Development Director, I stay up late at night worrying about the non-residential building projects. So the town center obviously is one of those. But as far as completions and openings, I'll just give you a general broad overview. Our clubhouse project is nearing completion as we speak. And the general consensus within our development partners is that it will be ready for a fall opening this year. So that's pretty exciting. The lagoon, if you've flown over or driven by, is full of water and looking beautiful and blue every single day. The public beach project has just started construction here in the last couple of weeks. And so that will be moving towards an approximate year-end completion. As far as the actual opening of that, I'm not at liberty to really say, but it will most likely be early next year. The town center itself is well under construction. The North Restaurant building, which is in our mind sort of a separate project within the town center. We're trying to get that building, the shell building to substantial completion here just in the next 2 or 3 months. Disney does have a preferred potential restaurant tenant that they're dealing with, but I'm not at liberty to discuss a particular opening date there. But the shell building itself will be ready, if that tenant is, we'll be ready for that tenant to come into the city with their designs this year and hopefully open very soon. The rest of the buildings, we're trying to get those open in the town center, the shell buildings, done and open by early next year. And I know that Disney's leasing folks are working fast and furious on a number of exciting tenants. Relative to the street openings, I'm afraid I don't have that information for you, but we can certainly get that to staff to present to anyone that's interested.
Yep, thank you. We're all raving fans, and we're pulling for you, because as that goes, it's going to have a big impact on the city and a great amenity for the entire valley, actually. So we're all waiting with bated breath for things to get going and to be able to go dive in the water out there in August when it's a little warm out here. So way off from signs, of course, one of your signs, you have the valet, where you're going to have a valet. Will there be a covered valet station, and will it have misters?
At this point, we haven't gotten to that yet. It would not be a permanent building of any kind, but in order to keep staff at a station like that, we understand you have to protect them from the sun and provide some kind of cooling for them. So we'll certainly consider that.
Yeah, one good way to convince everybody is have them go work in August for a day at the valet station without misters, and they will get one there right away. That's a very tough job, and you want to keep people there, and you want to be happy and smiling when they're parking cars, not want to throw the keys to the customer and say, go park it yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay, on the signage, my feeling is if they meet all the codes and everything, really it's up to the developer. It's your money. And, within the codes for you to maximize the benefit and the impact of your signs. Overall, I'm not a designer, but they're very nice. The look and the continuous theme of the signs, I think, are excellent. The color schemes and all that sort of thing. And also, the extensive work. Mine was at 100 and some pages it was over 100 pages. So people think, oh, gee, what's the big deal about a sign? Well, there's over 100 pages of information about the sign, so an extensive amount of work, and obviously very important for your branding and your theming and so on. So, but again, as long as they meet the codes, it's your money, and you guys figure out what to do. One thing, and again, DMB is not their first rodeo, and they know this, but I think it's important for everybody to know that within the CCNRs, there are provisions that the tenants must get DMB or the developer's approval before they do signs, and that's critically important to maintain the theming and the branding, as well as to be sure that they meet the city codes. Other than that, I think they're great, and thank you for sharing some of your thoughts with us.
Thank you, and I'll pass on that compliment to RSM, our signage designer. And also thank you to staff for helping us get through this process.
Those are my questions, and so on.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bryant. As always, very insightful. And thank you, sir, for your presentation and response to our questions. We're all very excited. It's quite a project, and we'll hear more from you, I'm sure, in the future. As far as I'm concerned, I think the sign itself is attractive and consistent, as others have said, and I'm sure the city has vetted it well, and it follows the codes, so therefore I have no objections either. So we need a motion for this item on the agenda.
I'll go ahead and, I'd like to make the motion that the Planning Commission approve the filing of a notice of exemption pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, Section 15162, subsequent EIRs and negative declarations, and approve sign program case number SIPR 25-0001, subject to the conditions of approval and based on the content and findings in the staff report.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. And City Clerk, will you call for a vote?
I don't have a vote.
Touch your screen. There you go.
Touch the screen.
We're learning the new system.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. And we have a, let's see. We have the second item. It's the minor conditional use permit, case number CUP 25-0004-5, Rancho Clancy. The applicant, Mark Temple Construction, Inc., consideration of a pickleball court located at 5 Rancho Clancy, APN 682-090-010. Will the staff please make a presentation?
Thank you, Chair Chanter. Good afternoon, members of the Planning Commission. I have for your consideration minor conditional use permit case number CUP 25-0004 for a pickleball court located at 5 Rancho Clancy. The subject property is located at 5 Rancho Clancy. Per the Rancho Mirage Municipal Code, sports courts are allowed within residential zoning districts subject to the approval of a minor conditional use permit. The proposal is for a pickleball court without any freestanding light fixtures. The original submittal included 4 freestanding light fixtures. However, due to public feedback, the applicant has decided to completely remove the light fixtures from the plans. Therefore, the proposal is for a pickleball court only. The 20 by 44-foot pickleball court is proposed in the northwestern portion of the rear yard. The front setback of the pickleball court is 276 feet, the rear setback is 16 feet, and the side setbacks are 20 and 63 feet from the property line. As proposed, the pickleball court meets and exceeds the setbacks on all sides. The pickleball court will be recessed 2 feet from the surrounding grade and will have a 4-foot, 6-inch retaining block wall surrounding the sports court area. In addition, an existing 6-foot-high block wall surrounds the property. Additional landscaping is proposed around the pickleball court to provide further screening and minimize impacts. The pickleball court will be surrounded by 6 15-gallon podocarpus gracilior hedges to the north, 11 15-gallon Prunus caroliniana monas hedges to the west, and 4 15-gallon citrus trees to the south. In addition, bougainvillea vines will be planted along the western and northern perimeter block wall. All planting areas outside of the pickleball court will contain Palm Springs decomposed granite. 2 public comments are included in the Planning Commission packet for this item. Staff has also received 3 additional comments which were distributed to the Planning Commissioners prior to the meeting. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the filing of notice of exemption pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, Guidelines Section 15303, Class 1, new construction, and approve minor conditional use permit case number CUP 25-0004, subject to the conditions of approval and based on the content and findings in the staff report. This concludes my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, no questions. Will the city clerk please open to public comment?
Thank you. I did not receive any speaker cards for this item. Is there anyone who'd like to provide public testimony for this item? No speakers.
All right, and will the commissioners please ask any questions or make any comments? And I'll start with, again to my left, with Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Leslie, as I mentioned to you before the start of the hearing today, meeting today, can you bring up the map that shows a surrounding view of the community? Because I want to locate the residences to the extent we can of the people who have provided comment.
Okay, so I have an aerial view that is of the subject property. So 5 Rancho Clancy is located here. We received a comment from the property owner here at 72114 Felonsby Road. And then we also received a comment letter from the property owner at 1 Via El Atlantico and then also 5 Via El Atlantico. We also did receive 2 additional comment letters, but they did not specify their address, but they did mention they are from the neighborhood north.
So sorry, in reviewing the different comments, the 2 people who didn't provide address said they were located, or really 3 people in 2 different comments, said they were located in Bella Clancy. Does Bella Clancy encompass the Via Lantica area?
Yes,
So we don't know specifically where they are, but they're from that same community.
correct.
Right. And do you have another view which shows the location of the court on the 5 Rancho Clancy property?
So the plans would show just the plans in relation to the sports court, and it would just only show their property lines. So we can kind of take a look from the aerial just to see how they're going to be along this property. So 1 Via Atlantico would be here, and then also we do have the aerial, which we would have to refer back to.
Okay, can we look at that aerial again one more time, please? All right. So looking at this, the property is, on this screen, it's in the north and to my left area of the property. So immediately adjacent, the nearest corner is really, looks like undeveloped property. And then the remaining properties are, the Follinsby Road one is very close, and the Via Antico, the only one that is very, very close, directly in more or less direct property, is 1. All right.
Correct.
Okay, I have one other question. There's several of the comments reference the elevation of the court as being somewhat lower, but not as low as other courts, which we have recently approved. Is that an accurate statement?
So the proposed sports court is going to be recessed approximately 2 feet from the surrounding grade. So the Rancho Mirage Municipal Code Section 17.30.230 states that all tennis courts shall be recessed a minimum of 4 feet below finished grade. Although the pickleball court is recessed 2 feet instead of 4, staff supports the court's pad elevation since the recessing requirement is intended for tennis courts, and the proposed court meets and exceeds the setback and landscape standards. Additionally, I do also want to bring up that the property to the north here at Via 1 Atlantico has a finished floor of 17.7 feet, and the property to the west has a finished floor of 17.4 feet. And then, as previously mentioned, the areas outside of the sports court are 16.2 feet, which is approximately 1 feet lower than the property to the north, and also 1.3 property lower than the also 1.2 feet lower than the property to the west. So the court will be recessed 2 feet, and then if you take into consideration of the finished floor from these adjacent properties, 3 feet.
Is there a reason that there's a lower recommended elevation for tennis as opposed to pickleball?
Yes, that's because with the tennis, that the balls kind of will go flying outside of the courts area. So pickleball, it's typically contained within the sports court area.
So it's related to projectiles as opposed to noise?
From my understanding, yes.
And then what we also see with tennis courts is that there's a chain link fence surrounding the tennis courts as well to protect against projectiles as well. I would also like to add to that surrounding the pickleball courts, a 4.5-foot retaining wall immediately surrounding kind of the court's surface there, in addition to the 6-foot perimeter block wall around the entire property.
And so when it's 4.5 feet, will it be 4.5 feet from the court surface level or 4.5 feet from the surrounding surface?
4.5 feet from the court surface level.
I know I had one other question about this. No lighting provided for in this permit, correct?
So they originally, as part of the application, were proposing 4 freestanding light fixtures at 18 feet tall from the court surface. Based on the public feedback received, I talked to the applicants on Friday, and they requested that the lighting be removed from the plan. So staff conditioned the project for no lighting.
Well, so the lack of lighting somewhat limits when the court can be played, right? It's got to be light out.
Yes.
And are there any restrictions on the hours of play other than the availability of light or the ability to see in the dark?
There's no restrictions. If the court was lighted, the lighting would have to be shut down by 10 p.m. But since there's no lighting, then it's kind of just when you can see, I guess.
Our standard condition, if lighting is proposed, is the 10 p.m. cutoff.
All right, I appreciate answering all my questions. Based on that, I think this is a reasonable application, and I'm in favor of it.
Thank you. Commissioner Agostini.
Commissioner Gray kind of hit on the hot topics. The only other comment or consideration I was going to ask staff was a couple of the public comments referenced additional sound absorbing material. Was any of that considered or suggested, or what did staff review with regards to that request?
So the applicant did propose a retaining 4-foot 6-inch retaining block wall that's going to surround this sports court, and then additionally there is also an existing 6-foot block wall surrounding the property. Our code does not have anything that would require them to install any sound barriers, and that's in reference to the sports court section.
Just to clarify, the 2 block walls and the additional landscape installations would help with any noise mitigation.
All right, that answers my questions.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair, Commissioner Bryant.
It's always when when you're the first one in an area to develop and there's nobody around you, there's going to be fewer people against or complaining. And so when you're the last one to come in, of course, there's much more scrutiny. So while all the codes are met, I did have same concerns, David, you had, and Jason, and really the noise, the lights have been taken care of because they're gone away, but it's the noise issue. Whether or not it's probably not reasonable to ask them to sink it 5 feet in the ground, that's moving a lot of dirt. So, but the concerns of the neighbors to the west, I know the house well, I've been by it a million times, and then the immediate house, 2 houses to the north in Bella Clancy, they do have issues. There is the house, I think, to the south, if I remember right. There is a sports court there, is that correct? The house to the south in?
There's an existing sports court at 4 Rancho Clancy, which is adjacent to 5 Rancho Clancy.
Okay. So perhaps we should look at the landscaping. When I looked at the landscaping along the west border, next door to the Folensby house, they're talking about Carolinian, I don't know if that's the same as a Carolina cherry, 15-gallon. They don't grow that fast, and so if they're using 15-gallon, they're not going to be very high, and they're not going to provide a lot of sound barrier. Same way with on the north, the fern pines that they're proposing. They didn't say the size, but if they're 15 gallons, those fern pines basically only grow about 12 to 24 inches a year. So it's going to be a long time before they provide any more sound attenuation. So given that they meet the codes, I would recommend that they put 24-inch box plants along the west and the north, so they would start out immediately with height, and it provides some sound deadening. And anybody who's been near a pickleball court knows the sound it makes. So I think, so my recommendation would be on the west and the north, the plants, and again, I'm not familiar, I don't have any at my house, so a question would be, do they last in the summer here? Well, both of those type of plants, on the west side and the ones on the north, will they survive the summer heat here? I don't know that answer, but assuming that answer is yes, my recommendation was they put 24-inch box trees along there so you have immediate height and you get some additional sound buffering. So those are my comments.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Bryant, and also for your questions and concerns, Commissioners Agostini and Gray. I think I agree with you. Those were of concern, but the staff has addressed them, has done some mitigation with the lighting and so on. So I think I'm comfortable with this agenda item. And so we'll go for a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission approve the filing of a notice of exemption pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, close parens, section 15303, class 3 new construction, close parens, and to approve minor conditional use permit case number CUP 25-0004, subject to the conditions of approval and based on the content and findings in the staff report.
Chair, may we also add to that that they put in 24-inch box trees along the west and the north? Is that appropriate to do that? I don't know how the other commissioners feel about that.
It seems appropriate. Is there any objection, or can we get a confirmation from staff that that's appropriate?
I'll add Commissioner or Vice Chair Bryant's recommendation to the motion at the end, after the last that I read, that the recommended landscaping be the 24-inch box plants rather than those currently in the recommendation.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. That's perfect. And we have a second, so will the clerk please ask for voting, and then we will announce.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. And then we have, as you may notice, we've moved the non-agenda public comments to the end of the meeting. We previously did that at the beginning. This is the opportunity for those of you here to speak on issues not on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have anyone?
I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on something that is not on today's agenda? No speakers.
Okay, very good. In that case, we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you.